Hey everyone, it's Dr. K. So a lot of our clients are hungry for information on their bodies, and one of the common buzzwords that gets a lot of attention is around the topic of fascia. People hear about it, they've kind of been exposed to it, they've maybe read a blog post on it or seen a video, but they're not quite sure what it actually is. Fascia is basically the white connective tissue that wraps around your muscles. Now, in some places it's thin and other places it's thick, but the reality is, it's a continuous kind of connective tissue that holds it all together. It's from the top of your head to the bottom of your foot, front to back, left to right. Fascia is there and it's continuous, and what it does is it creates relationships between different parts of the body. It creates a working relationship for things like your shoulder and your legs, or your hand and your head, or your neck and your low back. So fascia is everywhere in the body, and there are some places where it helps transmit force and load from one point of your body to another. So a good example of this is thinking about your IT band, which runs from the top of your hip on the outside of your thigh down to your knee. It's one of the biggest, toughest pieces of fascia in the body. Anyone who tells you that you'll foam roll the IT band and change it is really, they don't understand the science behind fascia, because it takes a lot of force to actually, start to distort the IT band. But what we can do is think about, how the tissues around the IT band are being influenced, and how that is influencing how the force is transmitted from the lower limb. Now, there is fascia in the upper body as well, but it's not nearly as thick as in the hips and the legs, because it doesn't handle or transmit the same amount of force or load. So fascia may look disorganized, but it's actually very ordered and laid down in a specific way that helps the fibers, they pull and push and transmit force into different areas of the body. Now, they found that fascia, exists in layers. So first there's the epidermis, which is the skin, and then there's, adipose tissue that's basically in the hypodermis. Then there's a superficial layer of fascia, which, there's actually two layers of that. And then there's some more adipose tissue, and then there's a deep layer of fascia, and then that leads into, basically the muscles. So all these different layers are sliding and gliding in 3D space, trying to create functional movement for us in real life. So you have to account that fascia is loaded with nerves and nerve endings that are also moving through here, and that means any kinks in fascia or pressure or stress on the fascia is basically creating an environment around the nerves that's very stressful. And so if you have a nerve that is stressed and under load in any of these layers, basically they're gonna be grumpy about it, and they're going to tell you about changes in temperature or pain or anything like that, and it becomes a potential source of nerve pain. So fascial lines basically help all of the different tissues slide and glide and coordinate movement with everything that you do. And since they surround every muscle and nerve and vessel in your body, like your arteries and your veins, they can have a big impact in how we function in real life and how chronic overload starts to build up. So one of the things we can also think about is fascia and how it affects the central nervous system and the organs in our body. So when people come to me and they have older chronic injuries or multiple areas of their body that's impacting the activities in the gym, or training with their coach, or even just training on their own outside, having fun with their family, these are the things that we have to think about. And we pride ourselves because we would take a full body approach to figure out how it's impacting the body and moving as a whole. So, if we can create long-lasting change and solutions for older problems, then that's a win, because then you start to influence and create a better work environment for the normal functional activity of our day. So there's a combination of manual therapy or orthopedic dry needling for sports performance and rehab, and things like a dedicated mobility and recovery plan. These are all factors that come into play when we have to think about influencing all these different layers of fascia. I know it's a lot of information to process, but if you have any questions, let me know. Stay strong, inspire others.